welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Circlemark Burkle. Here's my coach today, Aaron. Go and say hi, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
If you enjoy our content, please make sure to like and subscribe. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So, in this video, we'll be talking about the NFC wild card race. Things have been getting crazy over there in the NFC, much like the AFC. With a couple NFC North teams, Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers, currently holding the 6 and 7. After them, we got the Los Angeles Rams and Seahawks, followed by the Atlanta Falcons and New Orleans Saints. And everybody after that are fighting for draft pick position.
Draft pick.
So, I guess we'll start there in the NFC North. Minnesota Vikings, even though they won this past week, they put up 3 points and it was a walk-off field goal, so they weren't exactly putting up big numbers Sunday.
Hey, it's the game everybody wanted to see.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I'm sure everyone was tuning into it. I'm sure no one's eyeballs were bleeding as they had to suffer through that awful display of football.
They were just napping.
But despite the win, they, I believe, are scrambling for potentially replacing Josh Dobbs. And even if not, Justin Jefferson is injured again. Did you see the throw that he got hurt on?
No, I saw the headline. It was
Not
him getting like hit in the ribs or something. It didn't look good.
Josh Dobbs kind of threw him into the defender, so not great. He threw it up to where Jefferson had to kind of jump up to get it, and as soon as he caught it, dude got speared in the back, right in the middle of the field. So not the best decision, but I get it. You're in the heat of the game, just trying to win, get some yards, but yeah, the Vikings are, despite holding the 6th seed, kind of scrambling to figure out what they're going to do next. And then after that, we got the Packers, and them, despite losing, probably feel really, really good right now. After coming off of a big W against the Kansas City Chiefs, they lost a. Was it the Bears?
No, Giants.
Oh, the Giants. That's right. The Lions lost to the Bears, the other NFC North team. Yeah, the Packers lost to the Bears on Monday. Not Bears. The Packers lost to the Giants. Tommy DeVito on Monday Night Football. I know what I'm talking about. I swear. And yeah, not a great loss for them as they're fighting for a playoff spot. I mean, they currently hold the 7th seed, but the Rams, Seahawks are right on their tail right now. The Seahawks were in the playoffs for a while before they went on their skid. But what are your thoughts on the Packers right now? Can't be feeling great after that loss to the Giants.
Yeah, that's a tough loss. Granted, I do think that this Giants team is a different team now that they have an actual starting quarterback and not Daniel Jones at the helm. But if we're talking about this race between the Packers and Vikings,
Continue.
I'm just saying some of us believed in him and some of us didn't. But yeah, comparing these two teams,
he had dimes in his eyes. Danny Dimes.
He was playing like he had those glasses on because he couldn't see the field. I think the Packers are in a better situation. They've got to have more faith in their quarterback situation than the Vikings do. Granted, they just benched Josh Dobbs, I believe.
Rough.
Yeah. So
really good
tough
story
scenes.
for
Did we ever hear the official sort of diagnosis for Justin Jefferson, or?
No, keep talking
Control.
Keep talking, and I'll look it up.
potential timetables for returns for him, because that would be obviously be very big to get him back. Uh, but yeah, I think the Packers are in a much better spot, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah. I can't find. Oh, it just says all this stuff is from yesterday or 2 days ago. Oh, they're saying he might. They're saying he might play against the Bengals. So apparently, it might not be that bad. But they also ruled him as a chest injury, which is weird. But yeah, I think if either of those two teams out of the AFC North or NFC North were to make it, I'd feel best about the Green Bay Packers for sure. Like you said, they have a little bit more solidity, if that's a word. At quarterback, sure, we'll go with it. At quarterback with Jordan Love, he's definitely more consistent than whatever the Vikings will put back there. So yeah, I definitely feel better about them. Moving on to the next two teams, the Rams and Seahawks out of the NFC West. I think I predicted a couple weeks ago that the Rams might make the playoffs after going on a run here. This loss this week did not help them. However, it was to the best team in the AFC right now. So I think what it did show, with it being such a close game, is that the Rams, if they make it to the playoffs, could scare a team or two. And they're only, I think, a tiebreaker out of the playoffs right now. So they've got a really good shot. And then the Seahawks are on a horrible 4-game losing skid. After Geno Smith goes down, unfortunately, Drew Lock could not help the Seahawks get a win this past week. But, yeah, what's kind of your thought on those two NFC West teams?
Yeah, it's real unfortunate for the Seahawks. They decided to switch I think they decided to switch to their stud quarterback a little too late in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had faith in them through the first half of the season, but then they walked to a cliff and they didn't just fall off of it. They licked their finger, checked the wind, and then did a full-on belly flop into oblivion.
Yeah.
So they've got quite the turnaround to make. They've got the Eagles next, and Titans, who are apparently no slouches. Steelers, who we've kind of talked about before, having that stud defense, and then the Cardinals. Whereas the Rams, who have been on up and up of late, have the Commanders and Saints, who knows which team is going to show up when either of those two teams play. The Giants, who have turned their season around, as we talked about. Now they have a real quarterback. And then most likely have a loss against the 49ers in the last game.
Yeah. Unless the Niners sit everybody, which they might by then.
Which they might, but still.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I still feel good about the Rams, though.
I think the Rams are a much more experienced team than
yeah. I mean, they just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, especially with Matt Stafford at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would probably, between those two, give the edge to the Rams.
Yeah.
Their tiebreaker situation is very confusing.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be weird. There's I don't even know what the tiebreaker situation is, really.
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, go for it.
They win a tiebreaker over Atlanta based on best win percentage in conference games.
That makes sense.
This is all currently with 4 games left to play.
And who is it? Who's this we're talking about?
The Rams.
Okay.
Division tiebreak was initially used to eliminate Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
LA Rams win tiebreaker over Seattle based on head-to-head win percentage.
Yep.
So I think
They
no
beat
matter
them
what
both
they have,
times. Yeah, they beat
yeah, they're
Seattle both times.
yeah, they have tiebreaker over Seattle, uh, as long as they have the same record. Um, Division tiebreaker was initially used to eliminate New Orleans. Uh, Atlanta wins tiebreaker over New Orleans based on head-to-head win percentage. Now, granted, I don't know how that plays into the Rams, but
Well, it
it
plays
sounds
into
like New
what?
Orleans is gonna have a tough time.
Yeah, I think New Orleans is basically screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Let's go ahead and talk about New Orleans and well, I mean, I guess first let me wrap up with the NFC West. But yeah, I think I agree that the Rams have the better shot for sure. The Seahawks are on the down slope, and the Rams are on the upslope. Um, and I've kind of felt good about them ever since Matt Stafford got back. To be honest, with them having as much experience as they have, especially him specifically. Then I mean, you got to remember they won a Super Bowl just 2 years ago, so they've got the pedigree as well. Um, I think they've got a great shot, especially if they sneak into the playoffs. They could easily go on a run if they meet up with the 3 seed, Detroit Lions, for instance. That'd be a very winnable game for them. And then once they get rolling, who knows? Um, we'll wrap up with these NFC South teams. Atlanta Falcons and New Orleans Saints. The Saints have been a big disappointment this year from what I think a lot of people expected with Derek Carr going there. But in his defense, he's been hurt a large majority of the season, so that's not been great for them. And then the receivers can't seem to stay out of the police sirens ways, so that's been great for them. And then obviously Kamara had the suspension early in the year, so but they are still clinging on to playoff hope right now. Got a lot of ground to make up, and they need a lot of help to do it. Meanwhile, the Falcons, I guess, I mean, honestly, with both these teams, it'd probably be more likely that they would win the division. After all, the Buccaneers did just jump the Falcons by beating them this past weekend in the division race. So I think for
They're all
both these
tied at
teams,
6-7.
yeah, they're all three tied at 6-7. The Bucs just have the tiebreaker out of the three. So I think it's more likely that one of these two teams wins the division than they get a wild card team. If I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Falcons are starting to give Bijan Robinson the ball more, which is encouraging. And then over on the Saints side, I mean, maybe Derek Carr can stay healthy and they can actually make up some ground. What are your thoughts on these two teams?
I mean, I always thought Derek Carr was super overrated, and everybody's kind of seen this now. Whether it's due to his injuries or not, he's just been like captain checkdown this year and has almost refused to throw the ball downfield. And when he does, it's in danger of being picked off.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Atlanta's situation is very, very up and down. They're like, to me, they're how you would describe Josh Allen. They're very roller coastery. I don't know. Have they ever actually settled on a starting quarterback after benching Desmond Ritter a few weeks ago? I don't know.
Yeah.
They've got what could be three tough games of the four remaining. They've got the Panthers. That should be a win if the Panthers are smart, and well, I guess they don't they don't get their draft picks, so what do they care? But Colts, Bears, Saints. Bears can be a tricky game. Then obviously Saints and Colts are both fighting for a playoff spot. So yeah, who really knows what they'll end up being? It's nice, kind of like you said, to see them getting Bijan involved. You would hope that they'd also get Drake London and Kyle Pitts a little more involved in the offense as well, and kind of solidify this young core that they have.
Yeah, yeah. I think their biggest hole right now for the Falcons is quarterback right now. I said right now twice, my bad. I think their biggest hole is quarterback. Because, I mean, Desmond Ritter is one thing. Heineke, I guess, wasn't the answer for him either. I think that's going to be something to look at this offseason, but I think it'll probably be, if anything, the thing that limits them from making the playoffs. I have a lot of faith in Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. That's one team I guess we could also talk about because they're kind of in this mix as well. I have a lot of faith in Baker Mayfield, especially with him and Mike Evans' chemistry seems to have been growing all year. And then they're really getting that running game with Rashad White going as well, which is really helping Baker Mayfield. I've always thought if you had a good running game behind him, that was the year he was best in Cleveland, was whenever he had Nick Chubb pounding away at the defense. That play action was really effective with Baker Mayfield back there because he's a really accurate thrower of the football if he has time. And he has time if the defense is expecting run on those play fakes, and then a pass comes. So, what are kind of your thoughts on the Bucs?
I don't know. I think they're probably the most complete team in the South,
Yeah,
but I don't know that I feel the same way about Baker that you do.
yeah, I know, you know.
I root for him. I liked him in college, but it just seems that it hasn't really panned out in the NFL. And I mean, even last game against the Falcons, he only threw for 144 yards and had less than a 50% completion rate. So he's struggling against a team that doesn't necessarily have a stellar defense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Granted, they'll probably win the division and make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll do much after that.
No, yeah. I'm not saying they're going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs, but I think they're probably the best team in the NFC South right now. Which, yeah, isn't saying a lot by any means. Don't get me wrong. I mean, when the fourth team is the Panthers at 1-12, I mean, not a good division. But no, I think they'll sneak into the playoffs as the four. I mean, if they're a 4 seed though, then all of a sudden they have a home playoff game. They'd probably be playing. Oh.
Yeah, they'd be playing the Eagles or the Cowboys, depending on how the season finishes up. So.
Yeah, never mind. They're probably not going to win a playoff game, but they're going to host a playoff game, so that's cool. Good for you, Tampa Bay. Yeah, I guess, unless you have anything else. All right, that'll do it here for the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle. Here with my host today, Aaron. Go ahead and say bye, Aaron.
Bye, Aaron.
All right. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Deuces.